We are back in session. Can I get a motion? No.
I move that we come back into general session. While we were out, we just talked about some legal matters with our lawyer and personnel matters.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Can we get a verbal roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Let's go on to consent agenda. Did I miss something?
I motion that we administratively close all of the cases listed under item 10 consent agenda cases.
Okay, do you want me to call out the numbers, or? No? Okay.
It's in the agenda. I second her motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any comment?
Is this with a note that
We
the
made-
one that's typoed is,
We made those corrections.
okay, all
The
right.
typoed one is in the next.
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't in that.
Yeah, it's on the next one there, it's 228-17.
Okay.
Okay.
The non-consent agenda,
Do you want to
Okay.
talk about what happened?
Go ahead.
So you're the chair.
Okay, so, what do you want me?
At our case review committee meeting, the three of us talked about these non-consent agenda cases. We found after much discussion that we didn't think they were complete, that the investigations were complete, and therefore felt like we couldn't vote on them to bring them into the consent agenda cases. And so Director Harness believes that that requires us to put it on the non-consent agenda and then open it to a vote of the board about what to do with these cases. It's our proposal as a committee that they be sent back to the staff to be completed, and we were very specific in our committee meeting about what we felt was incomplete. So that information exists, and I
So-
make a motion that we, that the board send the non-consent agenda items listed here back to the staff for investigative completion.
all three of these?
All A, B, C, D.
Okay,
I second the motion.
okay. It's been motion second that we return in these items for more information, and all in favor?
May I,
Aye.
may I be heard?
Sure.
I don't believe that the board has the ability nor the capacity to go beyond what my recommendation is at this point, based upon these cases, without having done an investigative file review.
Okay. I think the issue was that there was questions that needed to be answered on those, and I don't think, I think they were just basic questions that was being required.
Which normally
can I
we
finish?
have you there. to-
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I'm sorry.
So those are just basic questions. Can we get those questions answered and move this along? Okay. And we'll put it on the next
Chair Waits,
agenda.
I'm prepared to answer any questions that you might have about these cases.
Okay.
To substantiate what our recommendation is, or my recommendation is.
We can do it tonight, or we can move it on.
I'd like to, what do you think, board member? Because you were prepared to speak, right, or do you want to?
I
It's not,
personally,
Okay.
let's,
we did this in the committee.
yeah,
I'm
let's
not
make a
going to have-
decision on whether we'll answer the questions tonight, or move it on and move these cases on.
Chair Waits, the topic is getting confused by the notion of answering the questions tonight.
Okay?
So we moved these cases, hold on, I thought we weren't going to do this, but let me just do it super quickly. We moved 238-18 We would like that was administratively closed. We thought that there were questions that warranted a full investigation. I'm motioning 238-18 back to the CPOA to conduct a full investigation as opposed to administratively closing that case. Would you like me to elaborate on why we want to move that case
We will
back?
be here all night. And we will redo the committee meeting we already
Right.
had.
I would submit that we shouldn't do that, but
Please.
Thank you, Chair Waits. The ordinance provides for 3 specific things in this instance. It says that the POB shall review the proposed findings and recommendations and shall by majority vote of members present approve the findings and recommendations as proposed, approve other findings and recommendations as determined by the POB and supported by the investigative file, or 3, defer action on the matter to allow for further investigation or analysis by the director. As part of its review, the full investigation file shall be made available to the POB. That is the ordinance. The CPOA policies and procedures that were in effect prior to the vote this evening, and I don't believe that they have changed, provide that in comport with the ordinance, generally the same information, which is you all shall review the proposed findings and recommendations of the executive director, and by a majority vote of members present, 1, approve the findings and recommendations as proposed, 2, approve other findings and recommendations as the POB determines are supported by the investigation file, or 3, defer action on the matter to allow for further investigation or analysis by the executive director. I believe that the question is whether you are voting on item 1, item 2, or item 3. And I believe that if it is item 3, the deferring action pending further investigation or analysis, I believe would encompass the questions that the subcommittee has asked to be answered. So if that is what the questions are that are happening right now before the board, I hope that I answered them.
Yes, that is exactly what we were asking for.
So,
And very specifically in our meeting, we have a copy of that meeting if you want to see it. Normally, Director Harness is at our meetings and we can ask these questions. He happened not to be at that meeting, and so we weren't able to do that. So we just have questions that were unanswered, that are legitimate questions, and that makes us think that it's not complete. So therefore, we want to send it back to the staff and complete them. And that's, number 3 is in fact what I was talking about.
so let's move it forward. Any other comment on that?
I'm just curious, what, normally, the Director Harness would answer the questions at the CRC meeting, is that right? And since he wasn't present, those weren't answered. Could these not have been tabled until the next meeting at which he would be present, so that those can't?
That's what we were
With-
trying to do. We didn't put them on
But
the
I mean,
document.
that doesn't require further investigation, it just requires him to be present to answer the questions.
Without going through the whole meeting again, I can tell you there were things in there that we felt were not investigated at all. And so there may be a reason for that, but we couldn't answer that question then. So our idea was to send them back to the staff. That's exactly what we were trying to do. We didn't put them on the non-consent agenda, Director Harness did. So they would not have shown up here on this agenda at all if it weren't up to us.
Any other comment?
Yeah, I think this is exactly why we have subcommittees, so that we don't have to do this at a board meeting. So if that's your recommendation, I support it fully.
Okay. So can we get a motion
I
to
made a motion already.
defer? We have a motion to defer. A second.
I second the motion
All
to
in
defer
favor?
and
Aye.
return for further
Okay.
investigation.
Let's move forward. This will be deferred. Item 238-18, 246-18, and 228-17. Okay?
And then
And 132.18.
And 132-18 and 128-18.
And
And 144.
144-18. Okay. Non-concurrent cases.
none.
No.
None. Okay.
Okay, now we have the review of appeals. We have 053-18. We were also going to send this case back. Would you like to elaborate on this appeal?
No, so what this is we received a request for reconsideration, a request for an appeal. So the burden was on the complainant to satisfy one of the 4 criteria provided for an appeal. I reviewed, it feels like it was several hundred pages of what the complainant sent in. I pulled every single SOP he named and read every SOP. I watched the videos. I am making a recommendation to this board that we grant the appeal. Specifically, I believe it was SOP 219 that warranted further review. That was not addressed in our investigation. So my recommendation to this board is that we grant the complainant in 053-18 a reconsideration.
Okay, that's a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
I
Aye.
have just a question.
We have a question?
And this investigation is going to be limited to whether or not 219 was violated?
I can't speak to the entire appeal process. I don't recall what happens exactly after we grant an appeal. I believe some sort of hearing occurs. But that's the basis on which I am recommending we grant an appeal.
Because I reviewed all of that material as well, and I'm comfortable with it if we're talking about 219.
Yeah,
I don't know that I'm necessarily comfortable with every SOP that was identified.
Oh, yeah, no, I think I have singled out the one SOP that lacked investigation. I didn't disagree with the findings of the CPOA as they exist in this case. However, the findings of the CPOA as they exist in this case do not investigate that particular SOP. And so that is how he satisfied the criteria, in my view, the complainant.
Okay.
So we have a
Chair
motion.
Waits, may I? Chair Waits and Member Vandeventer, was 219 a part of the original complaint?
What does that mean, Director Harness?
The investigation that you are wanting to grant an appeal for is based upon your review of voluminous materials in which 219 is to have been alleged. But the question is, was a violation of 219 something that was a part of the original complaint? And how does it particularly apply in this case?
My response is that question is not pertinent because that SOP is raised by the facts in this case, and our CASA mandates clearly require us to investigate any SOP violation raised by the investigation. And so it is not up to, the burden is not on the complainant to raise SOPs when a complainant sends us a citizen complaint. A citizen complaint merely complains of a situation that they felt like misconduct occurred, and then it is up to us to review the facts, determine what SOPs are applicable, and then analyze those.
Okay.
And so 219, no, he did not raise 219, but that also is not required of him.
Chair Waits and Member Vandeventer, how is it applicable in this case?
219 deals with, I have my notes here, give me 1 second. They've gotten a bit disorganized over the course of the evening, but I do have them. I believe I brought the SOP with me. Okay, I don't appear to have the SOP, but I can can work from memory. 219 is an SOP that applies when a person is having a mental health crisis. And so I believe that SOP was triggered because everyone on scene, including the officers and all the civilian witnesses, were in recognition of the fact that the subject of the call was incoherent and potentially incompetent. And so essentially what was triggered by 219 is an investigation, one that requires thoroughness in its efforts to de-escalate. And so it required what I think didn't exist, what didn't happen here, that is possibly an SOP violation, is that the Amber Care hospice staff was not interviewed. The woman who was responsible for the call out was living in another state but was present by phone for the entirety of the call out. No one spoke with her. There was an Amber Care directive which was not viewed, which was very relevant to the factual scenario. And the complainant also was not thoroughly interviewed by the primary officer who called the shots. The secondary officer did speak with Mr. Parsons at length, but he was not interviewed in the way I think arguably he should have pursuant to this SOP. So that is how I think it is applicable.
Chair Waits, Member Vandeventer. So, so even though the care worker was on the phone, addressed the people there from the care service, said that she did not need to speak with anyone else there, and because I don't believe that.
Director Harness, I'm going to cut you off. It is the board's purview to grant or not grant an appeal. I don't appreciate being cross-examined. I have stated my reasons for recommending that the board grant an appeal. It is up to the board to do that. I'm not needing to be cross-examined. I reviewed everything that I thought was relevant, and that's my recommendation.
Okay, let's move forward. Let's cut this discussion, and I think I agree. We do have a motion
And a second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're moving this
Do you oppose?
forward.
Back to the staff.
Back to the staff, okay.
It's not back to a staff,
No,
it's
it's
just
219.
granting an appeal.
219,
219
to appeal. Okay,
Yeah,
That's right.
okay. Will we be conducting an appeal hearing next month? Okay. Serious use of force involved, officer involved shooting? Okay.
C-44-218 is a serious use of force case which
C-45.
involved, I'm sorry, 45-2018. It's a serious use of force case which involved a handcuffed subject that was taken to the ground. And because he was handcuffed, it was conducted as a serious use of force. I reviewed the investigation and I concur with the findings that it is within policy.
I have a question about this, which is, I wasn't made aware of this case until I saw it on the full agenda. So it didn't get filtered through the CRC.
Well,
I
is
don't
this,
know.
it may have, but not last month. Is this the one that was the Walmart? Did it take place at Walmart?
Chair Waits, Member Fine. No, this was a case that was actually in front of the homeless center on 2nd Street.
I don't remember it either. I don't think it's come to us.
And it's not
it-
part
it-
of our minutes for last month.
Right, no, it's just a case that I reviewed and I'm reporting it to you.
Oh.
Don't the use of force cases come before case review?
I thought they did, and I thought we also had a mechanism in place to get a Garrity vote on the agenda prior to receiving it, right? So that we could,
That was what I meant. It's not under the Garrity. stuff for last month. So I will tell you that I did not review this.
I
Has
didn't
anybody reviewed this case?
No.
All right.
I
And
think we
I
should
don't
So-
understand
so
why it
let's
wouldn't
make a
come to
make-
case review.
Right, let's make a motion to defer this case, okay?
Well, I think that it probably needs to be sent to case review.
Okay.
And if we need to review Garrity materials, that we go on ahead and make that,
Okay, so we would have two motions, right?
right?
Okay.
Can we do that? Since it's not on the agenda to review for Garrity materials or to approve the review of Garrity materials, can we go on
Well-
ahead and do that?
We have a standard,
It's
Well-
just usually there,
yeah,
and it's not. And because of hiccups in the past.
a POB's
Can-
review of Garrity materials?
Yeah, since it's not listed, because typically it
Well,
is.
the actual case.
Yeah, typically this case number would be listed here.
Right, okay.
Chair Waits and Vice Chair Galloway, you do have the review as an agenda item on this meeting agenda. However, you do not have a case-specific number identified next to it. If the process is traditionally, it goes to the CRC, the Case Review Subcommittee, and then is voted on for Garrity review, or is it generally that the Garrity materials are voted on prior to it going to the Case Review Subcommittee?
The Garrity materials have to be reviewed in advance of us reviewing the case. We have to be able to, we have to go to the police department and read the materials along with the whole case file, because it's a serious use of force, and that's part of our job.
So they kind of go in tandem, right?
Well, you can't complete the investigative file if you haven't done the Garrity materials.
So the question, I believe, for council is, can the board tonight vote for the Garrity review for C45-2018?
Yes,
Right.
can we vote on that?
I believe that you can, so that you can proceed. If you would like to be more, what's the right word? If there is time to wait so that next month you can put it on as a specific agenda item and the board would be more comfortable with that conservative approach, there is no issue with waiting unless there is a timeline issue for this particular review.
I don't think there's a timeline issue, is there, Ed? Okay. All right.
So then we're going to defer it to next month, is that the motion?
That's,
And at the same time,
okay, I make a motion that we defer case C45-2018 to our next month's agenda
For the review of Garrity materials,
for the
correct?
review of the Garrity
Yes.
material.
And then it can go from there.
Okay?
I second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have. Okay. Item 5, POB review of Garrity materials. That doesn't require any action there. Do we, right? Okay.
Any other business?
Any other business?
I just want to put out two reminders. One is that Saturday from 2 to 4 in the Convention Center, the city is having this whole event that Mr. Lewis talked about. It's from 2 to 4 in the Brazos Room on the east side of the Convention Center. And the other thing I wanted to remind you about is November 19th, which is the city council meeting at 5 o'clock here, at which time Director Harness's contract will be on the agenda.
Just,
Nothing? I do. Director Harness, can a copy of our budget be provided to us and to Ms. Gooch within the next, let's say by next Friday?
off my list.
Chair Waits, Member Galloway, yes.
Thank you.
Also, the website, Ed, if we can, who does the updates on the website? Amanda? Yeah, can we update that to get some back reports that we're needing? We don't put those, we haven't put those reports on in a while, right? Yeah. Okay, so
Chair Waits, which reports?
I don't have any specifics, but
I think it's the independent monitors reports,
Yeah.
anything past IMR 5, so 6, 7, and 8, and then any of the CPOA's reports that are past 2016. And then I think that the other piece of information that we would like updated is that we have you listed on the Contact Us section as the custodian of records. So if those things can be updated, Amanda, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
how about if I give you a call tomorrow, Amanda, and we can discuss it a little further? Okay. All right. Any other comment? I appreciate everyone. I mean, this was a long night, and we got a lot of things done, and I appreciate you all for sticking it out, yeah.
All right.
But thank you all for being here.
I move
On
we
the heels
adjourn.
of that, second,
I can't finish my speech.
beat me to the
Th-
punch.
Thank you, we are adjourned. Oh,
All in
all in favor, vote aye. Thank you.